guess I won't see it in IMAX if I watch it on there because for some reason, IMAX is an owned format.
What the hell are you talking about?
Like, cause if they stream it to TV, I won't see it in IMAX though. It'll be cropped in.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
So you should just come with us.
I'm probably not gonna watch Dune in the first place.
Oh, dude, you should totally watch Dune.
Here's the thing: I've already seen the prequel Doom, with The Rock.
It's not
It wasn't my favorite.
It's not the same thing. And this one has Jason Momoa.
Yeah, but I've seen Star Wars.
Here's the thing:
Fuck you.
I can't tell you how much I don't care
About actors.
Well, no, I will not live in a world where I can't even remember the kid's name. Who's Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
I won't live in a world where we consider that a famous person. Like, I refuse this because all of a sudden,
Isn't he playing Willy Wonka now?
yeah,
He
he's
is.
just showed up. It's like someone broke into my fucking house and is like, I live here. It's like, when have you been here? And everyone's like, oh, don't you know? That's fucking Timothy Chalamet. He's your cousin.
He did kind of come out of nowhere.
And I'm like, yo, I've never even heard of this person. They're like, he's been in movies.
for a while,
He's
yeah.
been in movies for a while, yeah. And I'm just like, I don't think so. I've seen movies. I've been pretty up to date on movies. All of a sudden, I'm just seeing like 50 fucking trailers with what is TC? How do you spell Chalamet?
It's C-H-
I don't even know how to
yeah.
fucking spell his name. He's so recent. And he's showing up, and I'm just like, I'm not prepared for this. They're like, Jason Momoa's in this movie. That's kind of cool. But then they're saying this TC. Tim Shall, as they probably call him.
It's true.
I say T-Shall.
T-Shall.
That's his real. That's what his friends call him.
And he's so, like, he looks so handsome, but at the same time, like...
Can I tell you something about Timothy Chalamet?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he is just a clone that went a little bit wrong of Tom Holland. I think they were trying to clone Tom Holland, but they were like, don't copy my homework, just make it a little bit different. And they were like, here's Timothy Chalamet,
He turned
baby.
out to be a better actor.
Damn.
Yeah, Timothy
gonna say that about
Chalamet
Spider-Man?
nominated for 2 Oscars.
She's gonna say
How
that
What
many
about
movies?
Call Me by Your Name and the other one that I can't remember.
Was it Spider-Man Homecoming? Wait, no, that was Tom Holland.
Here's the thing. He also, like... He looks like the villain in a high school movie.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I see him, I'm just like...
He would be the guy who bullies Tom Holland in the high school movie.
And for some reason, he's really good at skiing, and that makes him cool. Like, who gives a shit, TM? Like...
Come on, T-Shaw, you're just going to do my boy T-Hall like that?
Yeah. Why are there so many T's as well? Why is everyone's name start with a T?
What's the stupid name you call me that I hate?
I have no fucking
Like
clue.
T-Dizzle or something?
Oh, T-Bone Bizzle.
That's a new variation.
Well, I don't call you T-Bone Bizzle. That was just something I came up with at the top of my head.
Beautiful.
Oh, T-Shivel. T-Shivel? People used to call you Shivels in high school.
Yeah.
And you know what? Every time I heard that, I thought cringe.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a great nickname. I didn't pick it.
I remember because we used to. Well, fuck what we're talking about number stations. We are so far off from number stations. When we were in junior high, we used to have a news broadcast in the morning because we apparently went to a school where like that was a thing. Like you could have that. There was enough money in the budget.
That's crazy.
Right?
And I almost forgot your name. I was like T Shivel. I was like, what does the T stand for? It's not Timothy.
Shut the fuck up.
They would cycle out. You could be telling this story because you were involved in this, but
I'm just not
instead,
sure what you're trying to say.
yeah, good.
Yet.
Literally every time I've ever told a story, that's what everyone thinks. But they would have there'd be anchors and they'd rotate out, and at one point, Tyler introduced himself as Shivels, and you could tell on his face that he did not want to do that, but other people asked him to do it. Like, literally, immediately. He's like, and I'm Shivels.
That's exactly what happened, because the teacher who ran it was like, well, that's what everybody calls you, and so, it'd be like a cool, it's like a stage name, essentially, I think is how he told me, and I was like...
I 100% understand, how you feel. All right, so, again, for those who don't know, I'm a musician, and for some reason,
really?
we
Rub that in.
Musicians like nicknames, and everyone has a nickname, and I fucking hate mine, but it's what everyone calls me, and I'm not gonna...
Drummer boy.
Fuck you.
The little drummer boy.
No.
So he calls him Parumpa-Pum-Pum.
Fuck you.
Do they call you Parumpa-Pum-Pum?
Your
No.
triple bum.
No.
Bro, he's got enough. He's got enough for a triple bum. That's all.
I don't know why that was so funny.
Man, you really got yourself with that one.
I don't know. Like, I wasn't even like, I literally said that. I was like, that wasn't very funny. Then I thought about it. It was kind of funny. What's the nickname?
I'm not gonna say.
Say it on air or no balls.
I know the name.
Is it Tyler?
No.
It is. It's T-Shal. He's Timothy Chalamet.
T-Shal.
It's like a Hannah Montana situation.
Yeah.
If you're Timothy Chalamet, first of all, you are an amazing actor. Like, holy shit, dude. Tom Holland does not, like, what's even worse about that is if that were somehow true, people would be like, Timothy Chalamet, T-Shal, TM as you call him for some reason, and they'd be like, he's also fucking Adrian, the guy you know. And I'd be like, how? How is he in my life so much that he retroactively is someone I know? It's like, yeah, you know him. You hang out with him. And I'd be like, I do know him.
See, here's the thing. People wouldn't know that, though, because it's a Hannah Montana situation. You see, what he does, he puts on a blonde wig, and then he magical girl transforms into Timothy Chalamet.
I'm just imagining that I'm, like, seeing all these photos, and Adrian is in none of them, but Timothy Chalamet is just in his place. And I'm just like, no, it can't be true. He's not famous.
You do the meme. I think it's from Always Sunny, where he's in front of the conspiracy board.
Pepe Silva.
Yeah, with Pepe
whatever.
Silva. Pepe Silva.
Can I tell you about the T-Shal? I really got to tell you about T-Shal. I'm dying to tell you about the T-Shal.
Yeah, that's the one.
I can't believe you haven't seen any movie that he's been in.
Yeah.
You've never seen Lady Bird?
No.
Call Me by Your Name?
No.
Beautiful Boy?
No.
Well, he sees that one in the mirror every morning.
You're just naming sounds. Like all of these are just like, you're like, just pick two sounds. Okay.
You've never seen Rub a Dub Dub. You've never seen the Ducky Murder Diaries. You've never seen
DMD. I've only seen the Netflix adaptation of the anime. I heard it wasn't as good. And
on that note,
how dare you?
Wow, that
How
looks splashy
dare
from
you?
across the room.
How dare you?
Welcome back to another episode of Crack Open Cryptid. I'm Tyler Shively.
How dare you?
How is that happening? How are you magnetized?
Where? Oh, you're like, oh, let's just crack this open. Oh, did we just pour it all over your lap? Oh, is that you?
How did we both hit you? That's incredible.
I'm Jeremy Savage Tate.
I'm Adrian Castro. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, I bet you are. You're like aiming it like a gun. You're like, oh,
I'm not gonna lie. I was hoping
Bang.
that would happen.
So I gotta come clean, boys. I gotta come clean with you today.
No, don't. Continue. Keep it up.
I did not research a cryptid for this episode.
If this
What the fuck, Tyler?
is weird, I'm going home.
No, it's not weird. It's just creepy as shit. At least to me. This isn't even like an anomalous artifact like the Polybius episode or anything. I got really into researching number stations. Do you know what those are?
They are stations in which I put a number in.
Well,
You know, you were really close.
Isn't it like that thing in Lost where it's like something where it's like repeating a series of numbers and then a message at the end or something?
So that would fit under number stations. They're not all like that though. So these are stations that are all across the globe that transmit shortwave, high frequency radio bursts out, right? Mm-hmm. Most of the broadcasts will start with a small tune, usually synthesized, followed by a string of seemingly randomized numbers read off by a voice synthesizer. Mm-hmm. There's very few that were like live voices, but there are a couple, and we'll get into that. Others utilize phase shift keying and frequency shift keying and or Morse code to transmit data, all seemingly random as well. If you're not aware, by the way, I'm barely aware because audio baffles me, but phase shift keying is essentially when a single frequency has its phase changed at a precise time in order to denote information, where frequency shift keying is when the carrier signal itself, the frequencies are changed minutely to most commonly send like telemetry data, if you know what telemetry is.
No.
So you know, like when you go up to like a like your garage and you hit a button and then it sends a beam out and it opens the garage.
Oh, okay.
That's telemetry data.
Okay. Gotcha.
So effectively, one is raising the pitch at the Morse code of, so it's a static signal and it'll go doot doot doot.
Yes.
But the other one is literally like machine gunning the signal. So it's like
yes.
It is only okay.
From my understanding.
That is how I interpreted what you said, but then like twice today, I've been like, I'm 100% on board with what this person said. And then they explain it and I go, oh, that makes no sense. And then I'm like, wait, is it this? And they're like, yeah, you got A+. And I'm like, whew, I was
Woo, yeah.
I was there the first time. Okay.
Now, these stations can broadcast in a lot of various ways at various times, right? Some of them are on a set timetable and they broadcast at the same time every single day, but others just seem to just send out a message just randomly at any day, any time. They can go years without sending one. They can go seconds without sending one. It's weird because they just don't really have a purpose at like face value. The first known use of number stations was actually all the way back in World War I. Mm-hmm. And remember, this is the first known use. They could have been being used even before this. At this point, all of them transmitted in Morse code, right? So the technology of them evolved and throughout like time, and when we hit the Cold War, suddenly these were the synthesized tunes, the voices all over the world. These exploded during the period of time when the Cold War was happening. And you're probably starting to figure out what they might be used for. I'm going to get to that in just a second. But the official use of number stations is kind of debated.
I'm pretty sure it's aliens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
I don't know. You just turned to us and you're like, you know what we're talking about. And both Adrian and I looked at each other like, do we? Like, well, are you on board?
Remember that feeling because that comes up very shortly. But the official use of number stations is kind of debated between civilians. A few world governments have actually acknowledged their existence, but most have not. Most of these stations are discovered by regular people who are just fiddling around with high-frequency radio transmitters, right? Or antenna.
If they are shortwave, that implies you need to be relatively close to it.
Yes or no. It depending on the type that they send out, sometimes the signal is very strong to where it can go out a fair distance and you can just kind of pick it up.
Okay, well, the reason why I say that is because radio, you'll notice this if you're in your car, but when you play like a radio frequency, it can go a very far distance, like it in a stretch, but cannot really deal with obstacles. Like other signals will go around them. I don't know how it works. They bounce off of something. They make a left turn, but I imagine that like because these are so short wave that you have to be like literally within like some kind of within a straight shot and also like in like a clear view of the
And that's why these are so crazy because they're incredibly powerful stations. Mm-hmm. For example, the first one we're going to talk about in a minute here was first discovered in London. That's when they first picked up the signal, but it was broadcasting from Cyprus.
How long is that?
It's a island in the Mediterranean.
Why'd you say how long is that and not how far is that?
He means how long is the distance. I speak Adrian.
Well, yeah. I get that too, but I would also say how far is the distance?
You ever seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Oh, no.
He's Charlie.
Okay.
He thinks the way Charlie writes.
I mean...
in office terms, why use many words when few do trick?
Oh, I do know that one. Okay. So how long is it?
It's longer than you would think. I don't have an exact measurement because
here's a new question. What continent is Cyprus on?
It's in the Mediterranean.
Oh, interesting.
Where's the Mediterranean?
Greece.
Well, that's not exactly true.
But Greece and Italy are on the Mediterranean. This is the only way I can think to broadcast this to him.
Okay.
Hang on. I need to know where Greece is.
What about Sicily? That's right in the middle.
It's near.
Is it one of the islands?
I believe Cyprus is one of the islands, yes.
All right. Cypriots, do not get mad at us when we completely mis-geotag your country. They're like, yo, dude, we're in Antarctica. We're famous for that.
The point is Cyprus is not in London, basically.
Yeah, but you know what I bet? There weren't too many hills in the way. That's how the signal got to them.
Yeah.
Show me it on the map.
Yeah, what do you
We've already derailed this.
I'm trying to find it.
Because we'll talk about cryptids as much as we like, but as soon as something relevant like geography or math comes up, we're like, stop.
Dude, the Hopkinsville Goblins episode went up like a couple weeks ago at the time we're recording this. Holy shit, is that episode's like, so the Hopkinsville Goblins are weird. Now let's spend 30 minutes having a book club meeting.
Wait, I don't even remember that.
Oh, we talked about like Lord of the Flies. We talked about fucking
To be fair,
We talk
when
about
you show
Falcon.
up when you show up to this podcast and you say, "Here's this," it's 15 minutes of just nothing happened. I'm not going to be like, "Let's talk about that some more."
God, I think that was also the one where you were just like, let me explain to you the trials and tribulations faced on the set of making of the movie Troll 2.
Oh, I totally remember that. You know what? Because I remember exactly what happened. You said there's not enough for this, and I said I'm going to bring some Troll 2 facts.
You literally said that in the episode.
Good. Glad. I don't remember that. You know, I don't even really remember any Troll 2 facts. I learned them for the day, forgot about them because it doesn't matter.
That's so good. Did you figure out where Cypress is?
Yeah, no.
What do you mean? What were you doing? We're over here reminiscing about like 6 months ago when we talked about Troll 2.
I feel like some of the people who listen don't realize that our backlog is like 20 episodes.
Oh. I know, it keeps us very relevant. Halloween's coming up, and, you know, in January
You're gonna be hearing
when you...
this in like March.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I couldn't figure out where Cyprus is, but like it's somewhere in the Mediterranean, meaning that like you have to go through France, the entirety of France,
Okay, so
to get to the
alright.
Mediterranean.
Well, yeah, I mean,
This is so irrelevant.
No, it isn't.
What is it?
I need to know how these signals are getting.
Well,
Let me guess.
that's one of the weird things about it, is they go a lot further than you would think they'd be able to.
I don't think that's true.
No, but it is. On a lot of these, it's crazy because they can reach across the world on a shortwave frequency.
No, yeah, I get that, but also at the same time, that's not weird.
Okay. Anyway. So most of them have been discovered from people just fiddling around
Yeah.
with radios and accidentally picking up the signal.
Radio fiddlers, as we call them.
Yeah. Riddlers, even.
We do call them that, yeah. I forgot about that. Sorry.
But those people, with the right equipment, can sometimes track the signal back to its origin point, which gives us information on where it's being broadcast from, but that's not always possible with some of these stations.
Because there's a mountain in the way.
Sure. Now, there are groups of people online who have taken to discovering and recording all the number stations that they can, and they use a very specific categorization system. You don't super need to remember this, but when it's marked with an E, that means the station is broadcasting in English, G is in German, S is in Slavic languages, and V is for any other language.
Wait, are we supposed to be remembering shit?
No,
Are we
don't
gonna
worry.
get tested?
Don't worry about this.
Okay.
Why did they choose V for every other language? Why not Q?
It's a great point.
No, because I know, I just saw what happened in your mind. You thought, I don't care to answer this, but I'm gonna give enough of a pause.
Shitty skeets catching on me.
But my question is, why V? Give me a real answer on V. Also, only Slavic languages? What includes a Slavic language? Does me doing my fun Russian accent, is that counted?
Well, is it in a Slavic language or is it in a Slavic accent?
To be determined. It's probably not even a Slavic accent.
The E, G, and S were because most stations are in either English, German, or a Slavic language.
because of because of World War II, I imagine.
World War II and the Cold War.
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm gonna make one of my pre-cryptid guesses, and then you're gonna tell me how right I am at the end. I'm gonna guess that a lot of these come from old radio towers to communicate data during World War II or something like that, and they are just still up.
You're close.
Okay.
To the official explanation by some governments. But the V, I assume, stands for vocal, just in general, because M is a station that broadcasts in Morse code, and X is a station that broadcasts in no spoken language. They're just random noises and musical tones. So
If they use Q, it could have stood for quite a lot of noise, and languages come from this one.
following the letter is a number denoting the order of discovery. So E01 would be the first English station. E23 would be the 23rd English station, essentially.
As they found them?
Yes. So there are roughly, as of right now, 20 to 30 stations of each of the main languages, and over 100 in Morse code discovered so far. Occasionally, one of these stations will be discovered and recorded as a number station, but later it's discovered like, oh, that's not a number station. That's just like a benign signal. For example, E22, which would have been the 22nd discovered one in the English language, actually turned out to be a transmission from the All India Radio that was literally just to like test their broadcast system.
Huh.
So it was just a test. People thought it was a number station. Eventually, All India Radio was like, no, that's our frequency. And they were like, oops. Most number stations, when they are discovered and recognized by like the 3 world governments that have, are just like, don't fucking worry about it. Like, whatever. Here's the thing. Most believe that stations are used for espionage purposes, that these are sending codes to spies out in the field to give them data, right? That is the generally accepted thing. I'm just going to come out basically right at the beginning and say, that's probably what number stations are. But what's weird is the nature of some of the stations don't seem to hold any relevance to codes or telemetry data. And it also raises the question of why they're so easy to access and track down. That one some explain away as like, well, they have single-use pads in the field to get the code. And so you can't even really break the code because by the time they get the information, that code is no longer in use, kind of thing. But in a 1998 article released by the Daily Telegraph, they quoted a spokesperson for the Department of Trade and Industry, which is the government department that at the time regulated radio broadcasting in the UK. And the spokesperson said, quote, "These number stations are what you suppose they are. People shouldn't be mystified by them. They are not for, shall we say, public consumption." Which, in my opinion, is the worst possible thing you can say, because he wasn't even asked, like, are these for espionage? Someone just, he would just ask, what are number stations? And he's like, they're exactly what you think they are. Just don't listen to them.
There's too much information on them. Do not.
And that's the thing, like, what the fuck? How could you possibly, like, think that was a good response?
I'm sorry, who said that?
This was a spokesperson for the Department of Trade and Industry of the UK. Point is, they're probably used for espionage, but only a few governments have even recognized them. Most world governments, when confronted on number stations, they're just like, they basically, that's a stupid fucking question, give me a different question kind of thing. They just don't talk about them. Or they just outright deny their existence. Or just say like, it's nothing. And it's like, fucking, well, you can't just say it's nothing. People are going nuts.
You'd be like, excuse me, give me all the top secrets right now.
Well, because here's the thing. If they were just like, yeah, it's for espionage, then it's like, all right, they're for espionage.
But do you think that maybe if they did that, other countries would be like, oh, we should probably, like, there's already a big catalog of some of these stations. We should look into it more.
Has anybody deciphered anything from these numbers? I mean, because I'm assuming they recorded them.
Yes, and I actually have a bunch of recordings I want to play for you guys of the number stations here. But the thing is, that's the single-use pad of the code things, is you can't decipher them. Because by the time you would, that pad is, like, already gone, not in use. They don't mean anything. Because they're only used for, like, one single moment of information. Which, past that, there's no way to decipher it, because in the context of the information you have, unless you have that pad, you don't know what it means.
It's like the Enigma machine.
Yes. Literally exactly correct. Now, let's listen to a couple number stations. Here, first, let me play it first, and then we'll talk about it. So that station
is that a particularly famous?
Yes, this one is. This is probably the most famous number station.
Because are they playing a real song, or have I just heard that?
They are playing a real song. This is E03, which is known as the Lincolnshire Poacher, which the Lincolnshire Poacher is an English folk song, but this is a synthesized version of it that they're playing here. Yeah. So So the Lincolnshire Poacher is probably the most famous of the number stations. This one was discovered in Bletchley Park in the 1970s by English code breakers. The station as we heard, plays a synthesized version of the English folk song Lincolnshire Poacher, followed by a string of 5 numbers. It's always 5 numbers. It's never more, never less. Over time in its operation, it was actually discovered, this is the one that was discovered to be broadcast from the island of Cyprus. The last known signal, though, from E03 was back in July of 2008. Since then, it is seemingly inactive because there's a lot of these that just don't broadcast anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But they did for a very clear period of time and then just stopped, seemingly out of nowhere.
I just can't get that song out of my head because I feel like I've heard it somewhere, and I feel like it's in a movie where a kid has like maybe like a toy car or something like that, and that's the
I don't know. I've heard it too.
Yeah. Because I don't mean I've heard that song before. I mean I've literally heard that soundbite.
Oh, like that broadcast?
Yeah, like it sounds so familiar, and I'm sure that if I looked up like, yo, is there a movie that uses this? They'll be like, here's like 5, and I'll be like, oh, I saw the 3rd one.
Yeah, and this, again, this is the most famous one. If you've heard a number station broadcast, it was probably this one.
Yeah.
But that's basically all there is for the Lincolnshire Poacher broadcast, E03, because it just was found, played that for a while, and it was one of the first ones discovered too. I mean, it's E03. It was one of the first vocal ones discovered, and so people would use it in a lot of stuff, but then it just stopped in 2008 for seemingly no reason. Now, the next one I want to talk about is actually a few. It comes from a station that has been dubbed Russian 7. Russian 7 is a station that is based in Moscow, but this particular station is really, really interesting because it broadcasts multiple signals at once all across the world. It broadcasts E07, V07, M12, XPA, XPA2, and XPB. It also has 4 inactive modes, including G07 and S07.
What does the X stand for?
The X ones are no vocal anything. It's just beeps and stuff. Yeah. The earliest recording of the station that I could find was from 1995 when V07 was first heard, but it initially actually had a male voice. What we're going to listen to right now, it is dubbed Spanish Lady 000000. It was originally male, but now it's female.
5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 0, 0, 0, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 0, 0, 0, 5, 1, 2.
And as you probably heard there, if you know literally any Spanish whatsoever, which I know at least one of us at the table does, Jeremy.
Yeah, I was able to code break that one as a 512. 512.
I thought they were all supposed to be 5 numbers, no more, no less.
No, that was Lincolnshire Poacher.
Oh, okay.
They're all different. They all have different formats.
It didn't have a banger of a folk song.
It did not have a banger of a folk song, you're right. But this one's called the Spanish Lady 000000 because she always does her string followed by 3 zeros, followed by a new string, followed by 3 zeros. Mm-hmm. And that's how it broadcasts every single time. It was always capped by the cero, cero, cero. And again, this was originally a male voice. It eventually, in 2001, became female.
Got too woke.
You know what's interesting about that one to me? Like, both of the time, I mean, we've heard cero, cero, cero 2 times. Mm-hmm. And it didn't sound like a recording of cero, cero, cero. Like, it had different inflections.
Yes, and that's why that's another reason why the 000000 is part of its name, because that doesn't sound like, when she says 000, that doesn't sound like a synthesized byte. It sounds like that one string is a recording of a woman just saying 000 3 times in a row, instead of like 0, 0, 0. It sounds like 0, 0, 0, where it's clearly someone speaking, not just the same clip played 3 times.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, in 2001, this changed from a male voice to the female voice that you heard here. And this was one of the first times we started to think that this was coming from the same place when we were just discovering what Russian 7 station was. Because At the exact same time this one changed from male to female, so did E07, which is the English version of essentially the same broadcast. They tended to use the one I'm about to play for you here isn't the equivalent of the one we just heard, but the one I'm about to play for you here is in English, whereas at the same time the Spanish one will be broadcasting the same numbers.
3, 1, 8. 3, 1, 8. 3, 1, 8. 1. 5, 9, 8. 2, 3, 9. 5, 9, 8. 2, 3, 9.
And one thing you'll probably notice in that one as well is that he, rather than saying 000, just takes a long pause, but that would match up with the 000s of Spanish Lady. And it's weird because Spanish Lady is the only one that I could find that had, rather than just a pause, just the filler zeros.
Mm-hmm.
But they would broadcast all just in a wide area, and they would broadcast at the same time, these two, and they would just be in English or Spanish. There also used to be a G07 and an S07, which was the German and Slavic versions, which would do the same thing at the same time, but just in different languages. And this is one that is kind of weird with the espionage idea, because why would you need your spy to get it in 5 different languages?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you just need it in the language they spoke? And wouldn't broadcasting it in 5 different languages then open you up to now a bigger variety of people tuning in and being able to hear it and potentially understand it? So just weird.
I mean, were they the same message?
Yes.
But that was just a different message.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so same message, same number, same time, just different language.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the language was part of a key that you would interpret it differently if
it was a different language, maybe.
Yeah, maybe they sent
Potentially.
5 signals and they were like it's the German one you got to listen to, and then you were like, oh,
okay. Now, it's interesting that you picked German there, because on October 18th, 2011, police raided the home of Adrian, who was in the act of sitting at her shortwave radio receiver tuned into a broadcast from Russian 7, specifically the XPA signal.
That sounds just like a video game that I
Dude,
used to play.
It kind of rips, right?
Literally, as soon as you started that, I was like, this sounds like when you go to your little cousin or your niece's recorder concert, and you're like, oh my god, how is it so slow? And then they just started shredding on that recorder. You're just like, oh my god, that was a lead-in. I didn't realize that a Bach fucking is doing this one.
But yeah, so that's what the X signals tend to be like. I like that one because it's kind of musical.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in Germany, October 18th, 2011, Adrian was caught by police listening to that broadcast. I don't know if it was that particular message, but it was coming from that signal.
Well, okay, so they arrested someone for listening to a public radio signal?
Well, both her and her husband, after interrogation and investigation, were arrested and convicted for espionage for the Russian government.
That makes more sense.
They were Russian spies living in Germany. Interestingly,
What year was this?
this was in 2011,
Yeah, 10 years
Dude.
ago. Yeah.
What an idiot.
right?
Everybody knows that they're looking for the Russians. They should have pretended to be someone else.
See, I like to think that they were just, they found this sick fucking underground radio station that played hot beats. And she was like, I'm not a spy. Do you hear that shit? That fucking rips, dude.
Well, because I imagine. Oh, I'm really getting out of my depth here. So you know, in the movie War Games, there's a scene where he calls up like his school to get the dial tone, and then he basically presses the phone to a microphone, and it reads the dial tone to be like, I know where, like, because it would audibly read back the signal of it sending it through the dial tone.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that.
So he is taking the so I'm just wondering if they're sitting there with like a microphone at their speaker, and they're like, this will translate into something else.
Well, the XPA signal and most of the X signals don't have any type of microphone or anything. They just send a computerized signal out.
No. I'm saying in the sense of when I'm getting this signal, I would have like on the other end, I would just record it into something, and it would translate the.
That's the thing. I don't know actually how they translated these ones. That could make sense.
Because that's like someone fucking shredding. Like I'm not gonna be like, hold on, one, oh shit, 0, fuck, go back to like the weird guitar solo bit.
Well, and now one thing I should point out is all of these signals I've played for you about like 10% of the full recording. These can go on for hours, potentially, just repeating the same signal for a while.
Yeah.
That one in particular was like 5 minutes. I only played to you like 1.5. So I
do appreciate that.
No, yeah, I'm not going to make you fucking sit through this whole thing. But like, I just want to talk about for a second. Do these creep anyone else out, or is it just me? Okay, they do. I'm glad it's not just me.
That first one definitely creeped me out, but I'm fairly certain it's because I've heard it in a horror movie somewhere.
Because it's creepy.
Which, by the way, I looked it up. It hasn't been in any movie.
Liar.
It has to have been.
Because here's the thing. The first memory that I'm getting is the sound that is played when they do the Crooked Man song in The Conjuring 2.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like, because it's like clearly a warm up, and then someone sings a song.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the folk song.
Could be. I do want to talk about, though.
We're not getting farther away from this. What has Jeremy heard this song? That is the new point of this episode. Whatever you're about to talk about is nowhere near as interesting.
Well, I was going to talk about one of them that's actually been confirmed to exist.
Okay, well, maybe we'll talk about this, and then we'll circle back.
So this is G02, also known as Swedish Rhapsody, which, gotta say, great name for a band. But unfortunately, it's just the name of a song. This is one of the only stations ever recorded to be confirmed to exist by a world government, because G02 was used by the Polish state security. This was first discovered in 1960, and the broadcast was incorrectly named Swedish Rhapsody because the tune played at the beginning of the transmission, which is actually the Luxembourg Polka, not the Swedish Rhapsody. I cannot believe that there are two songs that apparently sound so similar. One is the Luxembourg Polka and one is Swedish Rhapsody. But Luxembourg Polka was written in the 1950s, which lead many to believe that the station was actually established in the 50s and not the 60s. It was just discovered in the 60s. So let me give you a little taste of the Swedish Rhapsody, which is actually Luxembourg Polka.
That one's creepy as shit.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, bud. Didn't need to sleep tonight.
I'm glad these don't just creep me out.
Well, okay, I also know why they creep you out. It's because just famously, like, really low tones just make people feel unsettled.
Yes,
well, that
for
plus
sure.
the static. It's
Yeah.
like,
The static gets me, especially because that one is like so clearly just like off tune.
Yeah.
yeah. There's
It's
like
so
little bits that are
fucked.
off tune. Like it's just slightly off.
It is a horror movie soundtrack, like that one.
I was gonna say like
It sounds like I would be hearing that in a music box that had a ghost in it.
Now, it's interesting you say that because the song appears to be not synthesized, but a recording of a music box. This is one of the only ones that doesn't have a synthesized tune. that we're pretty sure is an actual just recording of a music box.
I'd 100% believe that.
But it's followed by a pitched up automated female voice that initially basically everyone thought was like a young child reading these numbers, which also adds to the creep out factor, because it's like, if that's just like a young girl reading these numbers, that's fucking weird. That's just weird. But it's supposed to be a female voice from an automated system, but they pitched it up for whatever reason. Now, this station went offline back in 1998, with responsibility shifted to that of E23, which is the currently active Polish number station. But Poland officially recognizes this one and E23 as like, yeah, no, we use those, and they're for state security. One of the only governments to just be like, no, they're for espionage and state security. Like, they're real.
Why not just like call someone up on the phone?
And that's another part of the description, right? It's like, why wouldn't you just call them up on the phone?
I mean, I imagine because like they're assuming that like the government's probably listening on their calls, especially if they're suspicious.
But then wouldn't they be able to catch these and then just be like, okay, well, because here's the thing, I don't need to, if I'm trying to catch a spy and I think you're a spy, imposter is sus. If I think you're the imposter, I don't need to catch you on the phone with MI6 being like, yeah, really spying on these cucks. If I catch you listening to a number station broadcast, I'm like, I don't even know what that code is. You're the fucking imposter. You're a spy.
But we're currently listening to these.
Yeah, but we're listening to these in a format to like discuss them. If I think the ambassador from Nepal is like sus and he's listening to one of these, I don't think he's listening to these for a Cryptid podcast.
The ambassador to Nepal, which by the way, weird country to choose.
Fuck the Nepalese. Get a real flag.
I don't think it's entirely fair to be like, yeah, he's a huge Crack Open a Cryptid fan. He just watched the episode. He was just looking at it. You know, he came to the hotel room. He was looking at it himself. He'd already seen the episode. It was hilarious. Jeremy was probably his favorite person.
Clearly.
And then the police bust in and just like, you having fun in there?
Well, yeah, anyone who listens to our podcast immediately has their information sent to the local police.
Yeah, because if you're doing anything with your free time that ends up just listening to three people talk about what boils down to Troll 2 facts, like it doesn't matter what we're talking about. In a way, we're always talking about Troll 2 facts.
Now, the last one.
Before we just get a life, just like there's better things to do.
It's fucking going off, dude.
I don't know what to say. I listened to one of these podcasts once and I thought, Jesus Christ, that Jeremy guy literally makes me lose brain cells.
Every time I'm editing these and you start talking, I see like on track 3, you know, there's audio wave. Skip right past it.
Please. Honestly, if you're listening to the podcast, just try to skip past my bits. We'll put a time code.
Yeah, we'll do, like YouTube has new chapters feature. We'll just cut it up into like 800 chapters and be like, you can skip these ones.
Yeah. They have no value. Honestly, the fact that I'm even on this podcast fucking boggles my mind.
The Hopkinsville Goblins episode, only about 15 minutes of content in that one if you cut out the Jeremy bits.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, there wasn't much about. I mean, there's small aliens.
I expected more, to be honest.
Smalians.
Yeah.
Smalians, yeah, that's what they're called.
So basically,
not Somalians. Different group of people.
Yeah, if you're tuning in for our opinions on Somalians, we have another podcast for that.
You're trying to think of a name, aren't you?
Cracking open a Somalian.
The worst possible option.
No. Somalians are cryptids. Oh, that's worse. All right, just Somalying open a Somalian.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Somalia fun facts.
The podcast is just called Somalia.
We know very little about it, and we refuse to get a guest that is actually from Somalia. What do you call
someone who really enjoys wine and studies wine, but they're also Somalian?
A Somalian?
A Somalian sommelier?
Okay. I mean, like what I said was hilarious. What you said was kind of okay. But all
right, the last one I want to talk about is known as UVB76.
We have swapped over to the Cryptids podcast. We're off our cool Somalian facts podcast.
Yeah.
That is no longer called Cracking Up a Somalian.
Stop saying it.
All right, you're right.
So UVB76, also known as the buzzer, doesn't follow the categorization system of number stations for a few reasons. One is not a lot of people even recognize this as a number station, to be honest, but it fits the weirdness of them. It was first discovered in the 1970s, and it operates very similarly to most number stations. So it broadcasts on a shortwave high frequency, it plays an odd noise on a schedule, and is occasionally interrupted for a code to be transmitted. So it's basically a number station, but because of a lot of the information we know about it, a lot of people in like that study don't consider it one, and so it doesn't have its own categorization. It's just its own thing. It would be an X, by the way, because
It marks the spot.
it's true. It would probably be an X for what is normally broadcast on, which I'm going to play for you in a second, but the codes that are transmitted are Slavic. So it's either an X or an S. But then let's go right over here. This one's a quick one.
That's like a printer or some of that. That's a.
I thought it was like a boat horn.
So there actually is an explanation for the noise, but the thing about UVB76 is that it does that every day, all day, sending out roughly 25 buzzes per minute since the 70s, and it is not stopped.
Is it the same one every time?
Yes, but it's kind of weird. So let's talk about this one.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully, otherwise, why am I here?
Unlike most number stations, the voice appears when the voice shows up, and I couldn't find a recording of the voice for it. I could find transcripts, but not a recording. Unlike most number stations, the voice is not a like synthesized voice. It is a live recording. Whenever they need to send out a code, someone comes in, picks up a microphone, lets the beeping happen in the background, and just says the code and leaves. We don't refer to this as a regular categorization because its station has actually been identified. It identifies itself whenever a code is sent out, and it's identified itself multiple times in its lifespan. All of them are different. So from the initial broadcast all the way up to 1978, the voice identified the station as UYB76. From 78 to 2010, a voice identified the station as UVB76, which is the name that stuck and became popularized. But from September 2010 onwards, the signal changed the location where we knew was in a small town near Moscow. It is now in a small town near St. Petersburg, still broadcasting the same signals, the same sound, the same voices, and the same identification for a while. But when it moved to St. Petersburg, it identifies itself as MDZHB. Until 2015, when it began to refer to itself as ZHUOZ, and on March 1st, 2019, the station began to change its name almost every single broadcast, but most often using ANVF. But we just call it UVB76 because that was the longest time span of it having a singular name. The voice messages are all different, but they tend to follow a very similar format. Step 1, the station will identify itself 2 times. So it'll say UVB76, UVB76. Then it will give out a randomized 5-digit code. Then it will follow that with just a code word of something vaguely Slavic, really. Then there will be a string of two-digit numbers, then a string of 1-digit numbers, and then it will say 5 to 7 names. The names are things like Nikolai, Anna, Ivan, Mikhail, Boris. So very Slavic names, of course. And then it will follow with one more string of numbers. That is generally the format it's been broadcasting since the 70s when it does get interrupted. But what's really weird is when it first started broadcasting, that buzzing noise was a lot faster and a lot higher pitched. And that it resembled more of a beep than a buzz initially. But in 2016, what's really fucking weird is in 2016, the buzzing stopped for nearly 4 whole minutes, which is very odd for the station. So you're going to hear 2 of the buzzes, and then what you're going to hear is it's going to like fail. It's going to fart. That's not a joke. It will fart, and you will hear it. And what's weird is it's kind of hard to tell, but someone walks into the room and smacks it a bunch until it starts playing again. Seriously, it's very weird. All right, here we go.
I told you it farts.
So I'm going to skip a little bit because it's broken for a little bit.
It's one of those things where I'm still holding on to this idea of it sounds like something's being printed out. Because it has like this line of it sounds like it's just printing out a string of numbers, and then it just keeps going.
Kind of like a ticker tape machine, sort of.
Yeah.
So let's actually talk about the noise and like its origin, right?
Or it's a bandsaw, or anything in between.
Yeah, that's actually when I first heard it, it sounded like someone was pushing something against a fan belt.
Yeah,
like a belt saw. Exactly. That's what I initially thought. So there's a couple things, right, about that situation for about 4 minutes when it broke down, and we heard somebody come in and do something until it started beeping again. During a point in the broadcast, you hear that occur, and then the buzzing starts up. This implies both that the buzzing is not computerized, which is really important because most of these are just like computerized, but instead is a recording of a mechanical function currently happening, and also that the station is under constant supervision. It took that guy about 1.5 minutes to come in and start fiddling with it. So that's not just like this is somewhere out in the remote like wilderness and then it broke down and they sent some guy in a helicopter to come fix it. Someone is there ready to work on it. The device that is responsible for the noise has been discussed and tried to figure out over time, but what it's rumored to be is what's known as a tone wheel, which are the things that make the Hammond organ, like an organ, work.
Like the heart.
I'm sorry?
Or the liver?
No, like big piano, an organ.
I love how you said that like I was a child. No, Jeremy. Like big piano. You know, bing, 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 bing. You've heard.
But it's brum, 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 brum.
Yeah. And then there's
Davy Jones plays one.
Oh, interesting. and there's foot piano below.
There is foot piano.
And I pull knobs.
You pull knob and play foot piano and go dum bum bum. It's like big piano.
Oh, big piano.
I like how you immediately went to Davy Jones. Like pirates are still on your mind, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Also, literally name
any other organ player.
Yeah.
Great point.
I'm not gonna.
No, name one.
Did they play
the
one
Phantom?
in the Phantom of the Opera? Yep. Did they play one in Hunchback of Notre Dame?
I didn't see the Phantom play it in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
That's true. He's got you there. It's
well.
not in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
He doesn't play one in that movie. No.
So you're lying then.
No. Phantom in actual Phantom.
Oh, you're talking about Phantom of the Multiplex, the Disney Channel movie.
No,
yeah,
I
don't
also
remember
does
that.
it in
I think
that
he's
one.
talking
Does
about.
he?
I think he's talking about
Yes.
the sci-fi cartoon.
Oh.
I forget what it was called though.
I have no. Are you talking Danny Phantom?
No, but he also doesn't play one.
Are you talking about the movie Phantasm?
Fantasia?
There is one played in Fantasia.
Okay.
Yeah, he's right, actually.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay, so it's from Fantasia.
You know what's also in Fantasia?
What's that?
Weird blackface centaurs.
I've not seen Fantasia in a long time, apparently.
Realistically, you probably saw one of the removed, because there is some racially sensitive stuff in that. I mean, you can like look them up online. You're like,
Hell
oh,
yeah. All I've ever wanted in life is a racist centaur.
yeah. And it's one of those things where you're like, well, it was a product of the times, but also in the times they must have just been sitting there like, well, this isn't racist enough, is it? Like, we're just doing a regular cartoon. What if it was suddenly racist? Everyone's like, shit, it isn't racist.
That's a great point. Yeah, no.
We could just add in like a really racist depiction of a black person just in this centaur cartoon.
So, point is, so UVB76, that the noise is literally the thing in organs that make them go, "Dum," like the deep noise. That is the simplest way I can explain what a tone wheel does, from my understanding.
It goes doom.
It's true. So voice messages from the station were exceedingly rare. Very rarely would you ever hear someone interrupt the buzzing to tell you a message. Up until about 2010, when they became suddenly way more frequent. The most busy day appears to be October 17th, 2016, when the station broadcast 18 unique messages in under 24 hours, which is exceptionally rare for any number station, really, to broadcast that many messages in one day.
Lol, shit broke. We're trying to fix it. You're probably not going to get it too soon. We're working on it. P.S. We're back. Haven't fixed it yet. You're just sitting there as a spy. You're just like, are they gonna I'm about to be fucking murdered. Are they going to send me? Yeah, lol. Couldn't fix it.
Can I be honest with you? When I read this particular bit about like October 17, 2016, a bunch of messages went out.
Mm-hmm.
That was right around the time when the election was wrapping up in 2016. And so in my head, my stupid conspiracy head, I'm just like, oh, they were like, he better win. I swear to God, if he doesn't win, I'm going to be mad. Get all spies voting for him now.
They're texting each other like, yeah, you seeing the election results? Like, yeah, looking at it, it's not looking good on our side. Oh, no, it's coming back. Oh, really? I haven't looked at it in a while. Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah.
I would have loved if this was that day, like when the votes were being counted, when, what was it, Nevada? Just
when they
would
took,
never fucking
forever?
put
Yeah.
their numbers up. I like to think that this happened on that day.
I don't remember that happening.
Well, no, that wasn't the recent election. That was in 2016.
That's right.
I was going to say, I remember...
I'm stupid is what happened.
Because I remember 2016 being very sad, very early into the day. I was...
I was
like,
oh, cool. Guess we're dealing with that for the next 4 years.
You know what I also did? Fun fact: I put on, and you can do this on any election. Like, it doesn't matter who you're like. If whoever you want to not win wins, you can do this, and it makes the entire thing objectively worse. You put on the song "It's the End of the World as We Know It."
It's the end of the world as we know it, and you just cut straight to the Republican National Convention.
Yeah, and when you play that, you sit there and you go, "Nice." Oh, it's like putting a soundtrack when you're making a movie. You're like, oh, this would sound so good, but you're doing it in real life.
Cast in that movie? Tom Holland.
I gotta say, Timothy Chalamet.
Oh my God, that's right, T-Shell.
I don't want to set myself up for failure, but I feel like I'm gonna be murdered by Timothy Chalamet. like I feel like that is my death. It's gonna be one of those things where I see something too much. I'm like, oh my God, he's not famous, and he's like, always have been, and then just shoots me in the back of the head.
What's that movie?
There is no movie. He's not in anything. He's in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
He's also in Dune, and he has a big old hose up his nose.
That's not what that is.
Yeah, it takes water out of your nose. Thank you very much.
That can also be a hose. So the most busy day that it would broadcast was October 17th, 2016, when the station broadcast 18 unique messages in under 24 hours, which is an insane frequency even for other number stations, not even just this one that was already a rare occurrence. It's really fucking weird. Really makes you wonder what Russia was thinking during that time and what was happening in 2016 that Russia had a stake in. But day by day, frequency shot up again in 2020 and have lasted all throughout this year as well. UVB76 is still broadcasting. As we speak, it is beeping probably. So a few times, the live open mic in the station picked up some background noise, not just like the one that I played a moment ago of like of it like breaking, somebody fixing it. We've heard some weird shit in the background of this one. The first time that I could find it being recorded was on November 3rd, 2001. And by the way, I could not find audio recordings of these, but it is like
transcribed.
Transcribed, that's the term. Thank you. So the first was on November 3rd, 2001. Where in Russian, but then all these translate to English, of course, said, I am 143, not receiving the generator oscillator. That stuff comes from hardware room. So this place is stationed. There's a generator. There's a hardware room. This is likely part of a military base, would be my guess. It's not like a lot of number stations where it's just a fucking empty room with an antenna somewhere. Because most of them don't have anybody there because they don't need anybody there. It's all like computerized. Most of them now, by the way, are no longer sent from antenna in like random rooms, by the way. They've just been computerized and they're broadcasting at USB. Like it's a lot of these are just like, oh yeah, that one's coming from like the Kremlin. Like we know it's coming from there essentially. But there are still some old ones that are still broadcasting that are likely just like abandoned, but still going because they're self-sustaining. But on September 2010, there were many accounts where listeners heard Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake in the background.
It's a banger.
It is a banger.
Tchaikovsky.
Say again?
Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been saying that wrong for a while.
How do you say it?
Tchaikovsky?
How do you say it?
Tchaikovsky.
I'm putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Chai.
And I
Tchaikovsky.
said
Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky, yeah.
Tchaikovsky.
Anyway, Swan Lake was playing in the background, and in more than one instance, people could hear a woman screaming.
Because she was like, "You playing Swan Lake without me?"
It's like, woo!
Yeah, that's not great.
Also in 2010, on November 11th, we could hear a woman talking on the phone, which is assumed because we can only hear one side of the conversation. And then, like the cartoon thing where you're like, and that's how they show like someone's on the phone. We kind of just heard that. By all accounts, it seems as if she was talking on the phone. The voice that we can hear says, quote, "Officer of the duty station debut, Ensign Uspinskaya," kill me, "received a test call from Nadavzda." She pauses, waiting for a response, and then responds, "Understood," and the call ends. So it's just really weird how many times it proves there are just like people in this room sometimes, which is very weird, especially because there's just an open mic on the table. They're just picking shit up in the background. Some dude's listening to Swan Lake, and then UVB 76 is like, "The world must know." Now, while UVB 76 can easily fit into the espionage theory of number stations, one theory that was put forward by the BBC claims that the tower may be connected to the Russian perimeter missile defense system and is acting as a dead hand signal. Meaning, if Russia were to be destroyed in a nuclear attack, this station would also likely go down because of where it is next to Moscow or next to St. Petersburg. And if it did go down and that buzzing stops, it would trigger the launch of all of Russia's nuclear silos, triggering a retaliatory response.
So at one point when it turned off for 4 minutes,
That
that dude was like, "No, God, Jesus!"
And I'm really glad you brought that up, because when I read that, I was like, holy fuck. But yeah, that is a widely believed thing, that UVB 76 is just like, if this goes down, the world ends.
Nah.
Which is kind of spooky.
Because if you think about it,
Well, Russia's perimeter missile defense system is a real thing. Of like, if Russia goes down, they're just going to launch all their nukes. That is the game plan. And so it's believed that this is just the dead man's trigger.
what do they consider them going down, though?
Like the station stops broadcasting.
Yeah,
altogether.
but I understand, but like, if there was like a new regime that like started taking over, would they be like, "No, just fucking trigger, everyone's going, we're no longer"?
No, this would be like if Moscow was hit by a nuclear bomb. And it destroyed the station, basically.
We could shoot their nukes out of the air, though.
Could we?
No. But I think that's a common thing people say is, "Oh, well, we can shoot nukes out of the air."
Yeah,
that's actually totally made up. That's not a real.
Wouldn't that be worse?
The idea would be that they would not go off. You would basically be shooting out the
like the engine, essentially.
Yeah, well, it's because nuclear warheads are designed in a way that you have to like activate them. Like you cannot just like shoot one like you're in James Bond and it sets it off. That is so dangerous as an idea, because you're like, "Oh fuck, we dropped it. Well, all right, we've been vaporized."
Well, wasn't there the one that was accidentally dropped by the United States Air Force on like Nebraska or something?
I don't know if it was a nuclear, but we did accidentally bomb ourselves. No, you're right. It totally was nuclear. Yeah,
and it just landed, and then the United States military was like, "Everybody, clear the fuck out."
Well, here's the thing,
we need
though.
to go get it.
The point being, they're not going to go off falling out of an airplane, because they're designed not to, literally for that purpose.
Now, my understanding of at least that the atom bombs that were dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki is the idea was they were altitude based.
Yeah. Well, they do explode midair.
Yeah, but didn't I forget which city, one of them hit the ground and didn't explode for like a minute because it malfunctioned and then it went off.
I didn't know about that.
I thought, and I might be completely wrong,
because
I thought one of them was like a little fucked.
If they go off,
well, they were both pretty fucked. I'm just gonna come out and say it.
Those cities didn't do well. But if it goes off in the air, it does more damage than if it hits the ground.
Yeah, which is why we wouldn't want to shoot them out of the air.
Yeah, but you shooting them out of the air would just create duds that would fall into the ground.
But I mean, like, let's say that you did shoot it out of the air and it just exploded up there. That's nuclear winter, baby.
Yeah, but I mean, you're also like, the idea would be it's too high up for that to be an issue.
Yeah, but wouldn't just the fallout come down and we just die slower?
I mean, we'd all be fucked either way.
Yeah, that's the thing. If these launch,
It wouldn't
it's
be
a bad
nuclear
day.
winter with one.
Yeah, but if it was like all of Russia's nukes, that's what I'm talking about.
Maybe.
I think it would be. Russia has a lot.
Because they wouldn't go off, because we'd shoot them out of the air first.
That's
with our
right.
made-up
That's right.
technology.
Yeah, we can shoot them out of the air. Timothy Chalamet will save us.
Timothy, like, I'll be the one trying to hit the shoot them out of the air button, and I'm right next to it will be the pamphlet that says how unfamous he is, and I'll just be too busy searching through that, and I'll be like, oh my god.
And then Timothy Chalamet will burst into the room, shoot you in the back of the head, and press the button.
Yeah.
That's how you die.
Yeah.
Saving the world.
Yeah. My head falls onto the button.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, I was in Dippers, the Dipperness.
Oh, I love that movie.
And I'll just be like, I have no fucking clue what that is.
As you bleed out
As I bleed out
on the control panel.
as my brains are falling out of my head. He probably said a real movie, but like it just didn't. I just did not get it because brains are falling out of my head.